Now, let's go to Zechariah 12th chapter. Zechariah, the 12th chapter. We're going to look at verses 7 through 9 here. And those who may not be too familiar with your Bible, Zechariah is a book right before Malachi, where Malachi is the last book of the Old Testament. Zechariah, the 12th chapter. We're going to look at verses 7 through 9 here. It's all about our people, the so-called black man, the so-called African-American man in this country, which is the tribe of Judah. You're going to understand now why the Lord have need of you. Verse 7.
The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first.
Say what?
The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first.
Why?
That the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah.
Okay, so the Most High is saying here that in these last days, he's going to save the tents of Judah first. This is why predominantly, when you look around and you study Israelites around the world, predominantly you will see the so-called black man, the so-called African-American man who is actually walking in the truth. And many of the other tribes have not yet to be awakened. And the reason why that is because the Most High, what he said back in Genesis 49, also to the promise that he made David, that the kingship would stay with him through his lineage forever. So the Most High knew that if he allowed other tribes to raise up before Judah, then they would want to be the ones that are ruling, and that's outside of the will of the Most High. So read that verse for him again.
The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah.
Okay, so that's why it's important for the so-called black man, for the so-called African-American man to get on point now. We don't have any time to waste. You don't have time to sit back and wait and see what the tide's going to bring in. It's time for us to get up. It's time for us to rise because the Most High have need of us. Verse 8.
In that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David.
Okay, now hold stop right foot. Now, what he's saying is, when he's saying the inhabitants of Jerusalem, he's talking about the entire nation of Israel. The entire circumcision, all 12 tribes. And he said, those that are feeble amongst you shall be like what?
And that day shall be as David.
Okay, so what he's talking about is those who might be weak, those who may not be as strong as others, those who don't have all this athletic ability and ability to stand and fight and be courageous. They're gonna be like David. And you know when you go back in the Old Testament and read how David was, nobody that stood before him that he was afraid of. So even the feeble amongst us is gonna be like David. But then look what he said also.
And the house of David shall be as God.
And he said the house of David, which is the tribe of Judah, gonna be as God. Now let me explain to that what that means. What the Most High is talking about is that when we get out, as we begin to arise in this nation that we are, and begin to rise all over the world, and then we begin to wake up the other tribes, there's going to come a point in time when we're going to be out of here. We're going to be formed. We're going to be getting back together as one nation, all 12 tribes. Okay, Judah is still going to be ruling. He's going to be back in that position, but of course, the head is going to be Christ. But the Most High is going to be giving Judah miracles, signs, and wonders to do things like never before. So when he says it's going to be like God, of course it's not going to be a God, or Judah's not going to be worshipped, okay? But it's going to be like God. Just like when Moses was in the wilderness, when he used to bring water out of rock, and they used to call manna from the sky, and all that. Everything that the Most High needs, anything that we need is going to be available for us in the time of these last days. But it's not going to be available for us that's sitting in church on Sunday mornings, talking about what the old Baptist way say, what the old Kojic way say, no, you're doing that, you're not going to be included in this. You're going to get ate up. And I'm not trying to be funny, but it's just got to be real about this thing. It's time to come home, fully home. He says, and the house of Judah going to be like God. And he said, what?
As the angel of the Lord before them.
So what it is when we got out there, we're getting some tight spots, and we need to be like Elijah, bring fire down from heavens. It's gonna come. We be in a place where the enemy is trying to come against us and take out our water supplies, take out our food supplies. Most High gonna be giving us water out of rocks. He's gonna be giving us food and everything. through miracles of the hands of those in the house of David, those in Judah. Verse 9.
And it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that have come against Jerusalem.
All of the nations. So all these people, I'm telling you this right now, for any Gentile that may come across this video. And a Gentile means anyone that's not of Israel. They're not of the lineage of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and the 12 tribes. If you're not in that lineage right there, you are a Gentile according to the Bible. No matter what nation you're from, no matter what, if you go to church or not, you are a Gentile according to the Bible. And read that verse for them again so they can get their understanding.
And it shall come to pass in that day that I shall seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem.
So let me tell you right now, if America continues to do and treat us the way they are, and you stay on the side of America, you're going to fall, just like the rest of it all. If you are complicit in allowing dope and drugs and alcohol and guns to continue to be flooded into our community to destroy our people, you're going to go right down with the rest of them. You're going to be sitting back talking about some Blue Lives Matter, as every time a cop shoots us in the street, you got your Blue Lives Matter t-shirt on, you got your Blue Lives Matter that you're pumping on social media, you're going to be going right down with all the rest of them. So in the words of my uncle, be careful. Be careful that you know who the true people of God is, the true Israelites is. Because I'm telling you right now, it ain't going to be time for no I'm sorry's. You better open your eyes to the truth about who God's people really is. And it's us. The so-called black man, the so-called African-American man, the so-called Mexican, the so-called Puerto Ricans, the so-called Indians, the so-called Panamanians, so-called Nicaraguans, so-called Brazilians and Colombians and Venezuelans, so-called Jamaicans, so-called Hawaiians, Samoans and Fiji Islands people, so-called Aborigines. These are God's people. And I'm telling you right now, wake up. You got that pic for them?
I don't know if I can put it in there, but
Maybe you can put it to the screen. Let them take a look at that. He got the picture right there so you can see who the people are. We're going to find a way to put that link in there before the lesson's over with today. And so for those, that right there. There it is right there. You take a look at that. And that's an opportunity for you to take a look at that list. And we're going to find that link for you. We're going to put it in there. But we're going to be teaching on those things in the days to come. We just needed to make sure that we get you to understand that who Judah is. All right. So a precept for that, for this verse is John the 14th chapter, verse 12, when he says that you shall do the works that I do, you shall do also. Then he says, great works shall you do because I go to the Father. Christ told the people that they were going to be doing these works. So this is the precept to Zechariah 12, verse 7, 8, and 9. Now, today's lesson is entitled, The Lord Have Need of You. Now, let's go to Luke the 19th chapter. Let's speed this up a little bit. Luke the 19th chapter. And we're going to look at verses 29 through 34. Luke the 19th chapter. And we're going to look at verses 29 through 34. Now, let me preface this. Now, this right here, I need you to pay close attention. Because there's a lot of symbolism that's going to be taking place in here. We're going to try to bring these things out as we go through the verses. So I need you to pay very close attention. If you're taking notes, make sure you write these things down so you get a full understanding of what Christ is trying to say to us here. Luke 19, verse 29.
And it came to pass, when he was come nigh to Bethphage and Bethany at the mount called the Mount of Olives, he sent two of his disciples,
Verse 30.
saying, Go ye into the village over against you, and in which at your entering ye shall find a colt tied, hereon ye never man sat, loose him and bring him hither. And if any man ask you, Why do ye choose him? Thus shall ye say unto him, Because the Lord hath need of him.
Okay, now, for one thing that I want you to get out of this thing is, let's go back and break this thing down. Go back to verse 29 for a second.
And it came to pass, when he come nigh to Bethphage and Bethany at the mount called the Mount of Olives, he sent 2 of his disciples.
Mm-hmm. And read that first part of 30.
Saying, Go ye into the village over against you, in which at your entering ye shall find a colt tied.
Okay, now, let me preface this by saying this. Many of you have had several dreams or seen prophetic visions concerning a ministry or business that the Most High has called you to start. But most of you have not taken one significant step in that direction. Like you've had several dreams, you've had prophetic visions in the time when you've been worshiping and the time you've been in the house of the God and you've been spending your own intimate time with the Most High, and you've seen prophetic visions and you've had the dreams with it detailed everything about what He wanted you to do. But many of you have still never took one significant step in that way, in that direction. That dream or vision has been confirmed by leaders. It's been confirmed by your spiritual parents. It's been confirmed by people that you didn't even know. People that you didn't even know that walked up to you and spoke life into you or said something right along the lines of a dream that you had the night before. But some of you have still never made it a step in the direction of doing what the Most High told you to do. And the reason why you're doing this is because in the world system, you have to have money in order to receive services and products. And because you don't have the money, you're not making any moves. But you have to understand that in the kingdom of God, the currency that moves in the kingdom of God is not money, it's faith. And many of you are sitting on a dream. You're sitting on a business. You're sitting on a ministry that the Most High told you to do because you're so focused on the resources that you don't have that you're not even making any decisions to move anywhere. Now, having said that, I need you to understand that Hebrews 11:6 says that without faith, it is impossible to please God. So it's going to be impossible for you to do anything that the Most High told you to do without walking in faith. You can't do it. So because you're trying to operate in the kingdom as people do in the world, that's why you ain't experiencing no success. Because in the world, nobody will start a business without money or investors. Nobody would go and start a ministry without a church, without a business, without a venue. Nobody would do nothing like that. Those who are calling about it. But those in the kingdom have to understand that you can't move by what you have in your possession currently. You have to move by what the Most High told you to do. Okay, now, so what is the significance of what we're talking about here? When you talk about the town of Bethlehem and Bethany, you have to understand that Bethany was an area in which Christ was very familiar. With all the disciples that followed him was very familiar. It was a place where Lazarus and Mary and Martha stayed at. And I find it very key here, very, very, very curious, very, very peculiar, that when Christ told them to go and get this coat that he needed, he didn't tell them to go to an area that's familiar. He could have easily sent them to Bethany, where some friends was at and familiar ground was at, and the person would have easily gave it to him. But he told them to go to Bethany, a place that he hadn't even went into, that they didn't have no connections. And this, what does that have to do with you? What does that have to do with our people? You got to get out of this whole mindset of doing things with everybody who you rock with. So that means if my peoples ain't with it, my friends ain't with it, the people that I know ain't with it, then I'm not going to do anything for it. And you can't think that way anymore. Because I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be a small select of people that's going to actually walk in their truth right now. Some people are content with spending their life in the church, singing hymns, doing the Sunday worship, doing everything they've been doing their Christmas, doing their Easter, and what they say, go to heaven anyhow. They're content with that. And it's not going to be until their eyes open up they're going to realize that it was never serving the Most High. Some people are content with just doing the regular stuff, staying in the same box, and doing what the society considers to be normal. So I'm going to tell you right now, in order to do what the Most High is telling us to do in these last days, to be used by the Most High, you're going to have to go in a direction that's not familiar ground. You're going to have to start doing things that's outside of the norm. You're going to have to start being a part of things and being in places that the average person that looked like you wouldn't be a part of. Because Judah must rise first. And you can't be sitting back here, you can't help anybody having social media debates. And that's what our people love to do now. It's like, it's really sad. And I don't really want to harp on it, but it's really upsetting me because Listen, I see what you was talking about last year, and you wasn't talking about no truth, no Most High, no Israelites, no nothing last year. But now, every post now, that's what you're talking about, and you want to criticize other people who don't know the truth. And you won't say none of that a couple months ago. You was just talking about the have and have-nots and the love is wrong. You stepped doing all of that, but then all of a sudden now somebody sent you a link or something. All of a sudden now you done came Mr. and Mrs. Verified. The Most High didn't awaken us to go point at people who don't know the truth yet. And this is what we're going to be digging into ourselves. I don't want to get ahead of myself right now, but it's getting out of control. It's time to be about the kingdom business. So my point that I want you to get out of this, read that verse for me again. Verse 30 and 31.
Go ye into the village over against you, in which at your entering ye shall find a colt tied, whereon yet never a man sat on. Loose him and bring him hither. And if any man asks you, why did ye loose him? Thus shall ye say unto him, because the Lord hath need of him.
So if you don't remember anything out of this, what we're talking about, number one, I want you to understand that his authority is all you need. Whatever the Most High has told you to go do, his authority is all you need. You don't need fanfare. You don't need a support team. You don't need money in the bank. You don't need letters of recommendation. You don't need any of that. Okay? All you need is his authority. And the fact that he told them to go do it, no matter where you was going, no matter who had the coat, no matter where it was located at, if they told him, he told them to go do it, that's all that they need. That's all the authority that they need. Okay? Verse 32.
And when they were sent, when they that were sent went their way, and found even as they had said unto them, and as they were loosing the colt, the owners thereof said unto them, why ye loose the colt?
Okay, so right here, I want you to bring down, the first part of that, I was talking to my preachers and my ministers. I was talking to my clergy people, my bishops and my pastors, my prophets, my teachers, my evangelists. But now I'm focusing on the people, the regular layman. I'm talking to the person that's sitting in the church. I'm talking to the person that's paying their tithes and coming home reading their Bible, wanting to be used, but they don't even understand why they're still sitting on the shelf, so to speak. Okay? Some of you life mirror this actual coat. Many of you, your lives mirror this coat. You've been sitting there all this time, and you ain't moved nowhere. You were born in one place, and you've been living in that same place. Even though you've grown, and even though you've grown up, your mindset is still linked to the same place that you're in. You don't have any ideas outside of that. The colt had an owner. He had to sit back and he had to watch other coats be used. Other coats coming in getting bought. Other coats being rented. But yet that one coat had to sit there and nobody came forward. Nobody asked to buy it. Nobody asked to use it. Then he had to also listen to his owner complain about having to feed him and take care of him, and he wasn't bringing no money back. And I know many of you are dealing with that same thing in your lives. You've been dealing with some economic troubles. And so people are having to, help you out and assist you. And you haven't been really in a position to bring much to the table. And so people are always reminding you of everything that they had to do for you. And you got this dream, you got this vision boiling up on the inside of you, and it seems as if it's never going to come to pass because you're watching every other coat get taken out, bought, every other coat getting used, and you just sitting there. And they're like, nobody wants you. Nobody wants to hear the word that the Most High is giving you. Nobody wants you to come and sing. Nobody wants you to come and preach. Nobody wants you to come and rap. Nobody wants you to come and minister and dance. Nobody wants you to start that business. Nobody wants to deal with your products or hear your pitch. None of that. You just sitting around, just looking at a dream and a vision and wondering, When is my time going to ever come? Why don't anybody want me, you're saying? Some of your lives mirror that coat. But you have to understand that when you have a special anointing, a special calling on your life, yeah, other people may have had you, but you were never theirs. I'm going to say that again. They may have had you, but you were never theirs. Some of my women right now, some of my daughters of Zion that are hearing this message right now, you've been in relationship after relationship after relationship. Gave up your bodies to these guys. They may have had you, but you were never theirs. And this is the reason why you never found the joy and the peace, the security, the stability that you need, because you didn't belong to them. I'm talking to one of my brothers right now who has a business inside of him, a vision to feed the people, a vision to take care of the homeless and take care of the sick. And you're going from job to job, and people are taking advantage of your work ethic. They're taking advantage of the fact that you were really willing to give your all. They may have had you, but you were never theirs. And you're finding yourself today on this Sabbath, coming across these two guys that you don't know that's looking at you through a camera. And I come to tell you, they may have had you, but you were never theirs. The Lord have need of you. All that you went through, all the trouble, all the pain, all the suffering, all the ridicule, it was because the Lord had need of you. And this is why you had to sit on the sidelines. Because it was coming to a day that Christ was going to come for you. Because he had something for you to do. There ain't no other cults mentioned in the Bible. All these other donkeys that these owners had all around Israel. But everybody know about that cult. Because Christ had a specific work, a specific purpose for him. And for this whole entire life, it seemed like he was going to never amount to anything, was going to never do anything until Christ came for him. And guess what? Christ is coming for you today. To let you know that the Lord have need of you. Now, read verse 33.
And as they were loosing the colt, the owners thereof said unto them, Why loose ye the colt?
Okay. So, what does it have to do with you? Now that the Most High is coming to you, some of you have been in and out some of these videos for the last 15, 16 weeks. And when you start mentioning some of the things that you've heard of here, people are laughing at you. Why are you loosening the coat? They're saying. Why are you looking to start that business? They're saying. Why are you looking to start that ministry? They're saying. So now, you not only have your own insecurities that you're fighting, but now the people who supposedly or was over you, or some people that were supposedly own you, or people who had rights to you, are trying to hold you back as well. The master had come for him. But there was one more obstacle that stood in the way. It was the people. Some of them is your parents. Your grandmother went to this church. Your granddaddy went in this church. Your uncles and your uncles went to church. We went to this church. And now you should be in this church. What you talking about leaving this church? What you mean that Sunday ain't the day no more? You going on the Sabbath? What they got to do with Sabbath? What do they got to do with us? Ain't that what you're hearing from some of your parents? You're in a relationship. And you're starting to hear this truth. And you've been fornicating with this person for years. And you're starting to say, listen, man, I ain't doing that no more. What? What do you mean? So not only are you fighting your own insecurities, you're fighting the other voices that are trying to keep you in that old life. But I want to warn you again. I want to encourage you again that the Lord have need of you. Read that verse for me again, 34.
34.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, The Lord hath need of him.
The Lord have need of him. Now read the next verse.
And they brought him to Jesus, and they cast their garments upon the colt, and they set Jesus thereon.
Now, so what we're going to get you to understand here is that everybody that's trying to come against what you're supposed to be doing right now, everybody's just trying to come against you walking in your true identity and your heritage. You need to look back at him and say, the Lord have need of me. I'm going whether you come or not. I'm going to walk in my truth, in the truth, whether you do or not. You can stay in this church. You can continue to do these pagan things if you want to. I'm saying goodbye to Easter, goodbye to Christmas, goodbye to Thanksgiving, goodbye to Halloween. Not doing no hallelujah nights. We're not doing any of that anymore. We're about to walk in the law, statutes, and commandments and following Christ according to the Bible. You can keep your denominations. You can keep all of that. I'm going with the Most High. Today's lesson is the Lord have need of you. For those who just joined us today, we want you to understand that we're talking about our people, the so-called black men, the so-called African-American men. It's time for Judah to wake up. We've given precept to precept to get an understanding of how important it is for us to be walking in our kingship, in our true identity, and our true heritage. Go with me to Romans the 12th chapter. Where we at on time right now? Can't be right. Really? Oh, I'm surprised. I may not keep y'all 2 hours again today. All right. Let's go to Romans 12. I mean, we can add a precept to it. Romans the 12th chapter. We're going to look at verses 1